We are back once again with another episode on Across the Board. And might I say, this was probably one of the best round one of the Stanley Cup playoffs we've seen by far. I was very engaged. I was very impressed with a lot of these series. And surprisingly, only one of them went to game seven. I honestly thought there was going to be three of them that were going to go to game seven. But I was entertained. What did you think?
I was entertained as well. There was a lot of series that were not near as close as I thought they would be. And then there were a few series that were somewhat close, but overall, I mean, I'm not nothing too crazy came off the board at me. I was a little shocked. I felt like Pittsburgh could have put up a little better of a fight there, but that's hockey, and that's just part of it.
That is. So here's what we'll do. We'll start with the sweeps first and work our way. This will be a first round recap today. So we'll just kind of start with the sweeps first and we'll go from there. We'll start with Colorado and LA. Really not much to say there. I mean, Colorado dominated that series. We'll say Antoine Forsberg, I thought, kept LA in it, but Colorado just being the better team really took over and did what they did. But the simple takeaway for me is LA has got to go address the scoring issues this offseason. I mean, they've got to, you add Panera, which I think was a great addition to start, but you've got to be able to produce more. I mean, and that's just what you have to do. I mean, you put up, this total series, you scored 5 goals in 4 games. I mean, that's just not going to get it done. And Forsberg kept you in the first 2 games. I mean, it was 2-1 finals, but you're just not going to be a successful team if you can't address the scoring issues. So if I'm LA, I'm starting there.
I agree with you there. I know they didn't have, the greatest expectations going into that series. Obviously, I don't think many people were expecting them to pull it out. But yeah, you have to give a little credit to the Colorado defense. They've been lights out all year, but you know, really LA scoring issues. That's been a problem for them all year. So that's definitely something they have to address. I get that.
100%. But good for Colorado. They're moving on. We'll go to the other sweep, and I honestly thought this sweep was kind of a good series for it being a sweep.
Hmm.
But we'll move to Ottawa and Carolina. Like I said before the series, I had it going to 7 games, but I said it there. Carolina is a better team. They are the better team, but
Definitely.
Ottawa kept it interesting. I mean, they came into this series and they put up a good fight, but Freddie Anderson, I mean that guy's just good. I thought Linus Olmark kept him in the game. He was a very big piece there. Freddie Anderson looked good though. This Carolina team is good. I noticed something though. Ottawa dominated the faceoff circle. I think every game they won the faceoff percentage, except one of those 4. But they really took over the faceoff circle. But or excuse me, faceoff dot. But Ottawa put up a good fight this series. I thought they were very competitive. Depicting what they had been going through with this team. But Carolina looked good, man. They're a great team. Logan Stankoven, I'm highlighting. He scored in every game. He scored again in game 5, or excuse me, game 1 of their series against Philadelphia. So, this dude's on a roll. Logan Stankoven has been great this playoffs, but they're looking good, man. Carolina's rolling.
I like Carolina too. Yeah, obviously, we picked them to win. That's not the biggest shocker. Ottawa, not not a bad team, but not. I don't think they were. I don't think they're a playoff ready caliber team, and it showed. They fought hard, but it's just Carolina. They're good.
And a big question lingering is Brady Tkachuk's future there. Kind of like another guy we're going to talk about in a little bit. But, I think in the future, this team could very well be a playoff team. I think so.
Hmm.
They've been the past
Yeah,
couple of seasons, and maybe it didn't go as the way they wanted to, but they're going to be a good team, man. So I think Ottawa fought hard, but Carolina a much better team, and they're moving on.
yeah, yeah.
We'll stay in the. Let's go to the West. We'll start in the West and work our way to the East. I do want to go out to Dallas and Minnesota. That series was absolutely insane. I loved watching that. I mean, very competitive, hard fought, and you just got to love what Minnesota was able to do. Very, very feisty two teams. Wallstead kept
Yeah.
Minnesota in the series. I mean, you've got the goal score. I mean, they were able to score goals. I mean, it was just all competitive on all ends. And Dallas was just really a heartbreaker for them. You looked at Minnesota's not won past the first round in the playoff series since 2015. Dallas has been to the Western Conference Finals the last few seasons, and the expectation was a cup this year, and they get snubbed out in the first round. Just not a very good look on that end, and it's really brutal when your expectation is we're a cup team and you get beat out in the first round. But playing Minnesota, I mean, that's a tough team to play as well. But I think good for Minnesota that they were able to move on and get past first round, and that's 11 years now.
Yeah, they were. I was hoping it would go to 7 games.
This
Obviously,
one of them I thought would go to. I think this one I guarantee I would put a lot of money going to 7.
yeah, I would have said that too. But Minnesota, they were playing really well, and Dallas was too. It's just Minnesota came out on top there. I think they were the better team here in that series. So I'm excited to watch them here in the second round against Colorado.
Yeah, that first game for them, 9-6.
Yeah,
Obviously,
that's
we'll
not
kind
a
of do a
traditional score.
preview the first round, but that was a blowout last night. But
Hmm.
good for Minnesota though getting past Dallas. I mean, what a big win and a big series for them.
Yeah, it's tough for Dallas too. Minnesota has expectations to be a Cup team too, so it really could have gone either way.
For
But
sure.
good for Minnesota.
We'll go to Vegas and Utah. I tell you what, watching that series, I watched every single game that went on there.
Hmm.
You know, very impressed with Utah's skating ability, just the speed. They got to the center of the ice and they really made Carter Hart work for their saves. They this is a very young team that was firing and moving. I mean, they were very quick in and out of the neutral zone. They were moving, and it really caught Vegas flat-footed. Vegas. You watch them this year; they don't allow a lot of shots on goal. I think they're just behind Carolina in shots allowed per game. But if you look at the quality chances they're giving up, I mean, they were giving up the middle of the ice, and Utah's making them pay. Vemelka had a lot of work. He led goalies in starts this year. I mean, he was a big piece of their success. But I love this group, man. Dylan Gunther, Logan Cooley, you got Kraus, you name the whole group. Sergachev. I mean, the experience showed in late game situation. I think that's where you saw the experience differ. I mean, Vegas doubled them in the amount of guy and the number of playoff games played per players. And I think Utah, though, is not far. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to the playoffs next year. They've got a winning recipe, but I think experience does make a difference at times. And they really should have won that series. I think they had every chance to, but Vegas experience, they came in late and were able to seal the deal. But Carter Hart really locked in Game 6. He's going to be a big part for their ride going forward if they want to go to the Stanley Cup. And the fourth line, I could talk about them for a while. Cole Smith, Nick Dowd, Colton Sissons. I mean, that's a big line, man. When those guys are rolling it on, they're going to be on. And Brett Howden stepping up, absolutely huge. But what a series there. And Utah, man, they're going to be good going forward. I love what Ryan Smith has got going on there.
I like Utah too. They're a very hard fought team, very competitive. I know the series did go 6 games, but for some reason to me, the games didn't feel very close at times. But got to give props to Vegas. They took care of business and they move on.
Yeah, I mean, I will. I think there were so many times during that series where I just had to hold my breath. Like Vegas went up 3, that would be game 5, or no, be game 4. They go up 5, and then here comes Utah, storming back again, and they end up taking the lead. I mean, Utah fought really hard in this series, though. I mean, they were. I think it was a surprise to a lot of people, myself included. But man, they're going to be so good. And Clayton Keller. I kind
Mhm.
of can't believe I forgot his name, but they're going to be a good team, man. There's a lot to be excited for with that group, and can't wait to see what the future holds for them. So we'll head on out to probably the biggest disappointment for a lot of people, and it's Edmonton, the Anaheim series. I mean, Connor McDavid. Honestly, I'm looking at Edmonton and the office just saying, what are we doing? Can we please get a goalie? I mean, you you know what your issue was. I specifically talked about it middle of the season and even last year with a bunch of people. How do you have the whole offseason to address your goaltending and your defense, and you did absolutely jack squat nothing. You say, okay, we'll get Brett Kulak, and then let's go get Tristan Jarry and Connor Ingram's your starter. No disrespect, but he's not your starting goalie. Connor Ingram is a good 2 in the NHL. I will say that. I mean, I think that's fair to say. He can be a 2. But how do you not address these issues? You develop an offense that is so elite and you just throw out the back end. I mean, that's what happened. You throw out the back end, you can't get half decent goaltending. And I mean, Edmonton did this to themselves. I hate to say it, but the issue for me needs to be addressed. You got to go get a defensive addition, and you've got to add a goalie somewhere. We thought at the deadline they would go for something better, maybe a Bennington or whoever else was available on the table. But I mean, Tristan Jarry just didn't do his part. I mean, you brought in Tristan Jarry to replace Stuart Skinner, and that went absolutely nowhere. I mean, he was playing by Connor Ingram. But I do want to shout at Anaheim though. What a young group,
Yep.
elite goal scorers, man. I mean, they have got the pieces for winning success. I mean, they're just a young team. Joe Quenneville, I mean, a great leader that they've got there. And I mean, you kind of have to love what they have. Cutter Gauthier, Mason McTavish, Leo Carlson. I mean, there's so many great much young talent they have here. And then, you go with some vets like Chris Kreider and Alex Killorn. I mean, you're adding. You look at this team. I mean, there's a lot of talent, and they're a young team. I will say I dogged on Lucas Dostal a little bit. When I mean a little bit, a lot. But he held his own this series. And, you know, Anaheim's a good team, man, and they're going to go play Vegas next round. But I love what they have. They're a good young group playing with a lot of fight and a lot of energy. But I'm looking at Edmonton in the face and look, this off season, you either get you a goalie or a defense, or you suck next year and Connor McDavid's out of there. I mean,
Yeah, I meant to ask you, what do you think the future plans are for McDavid?
from the interview, a lot of positive. It seems like he wants to be an Oiler, and I mean, I think that's awesome and all, but how you got to help this guy out?
Right.
I just you look at your last cups, okay, we got to address this and this. You got to put some money on the table. You got to do something to address these issues because again, Connor Ingram and Tristan Jarry it's not a goaltending recipe for success. It's just not. But you've got to help the guy out. I don't know what else I have to repeat to get that across. Help a brother out. I mean, dude is struggling, and he just. I mean, he's trying his best. He's doing whatever he can. I mean, he's trying to carry the team, and where's the defense? Where's the goaltending? Edmonton's got to address these issues this offseason. That's about as simple as I can put it for me there. I got to ask you, I mean, what do you think?
Well, if I was McDavid, I'd be sitting there, and I'm just like, well, I don't know, like to the front office, being like, well, I don't know what you guys expected was going to happen. You know, you had the same issues over and over and over, and you don't really address them. And then, we've got one of the best offenses in all the league. It just seems like all the work we put in just goes right out the window because we can't keep the puck out of our own net. So
Yeah,
look at him, like from his perspective, yeah, that's a tough call to make, obviously, but
you
I'd
know,
I'd, I'd be pretty frustrated.
yeah. I mean, the way it made a lot of people kind of broken down the interview. A lot of people made it sounds like he wants to stay, and a lot of players do love their teams and want to stay, but at some point he's going to want a cup. I mean, he just does. Like you had your two chances, and then this season you just don't. I mean, the expectation level as well is another issue. When your expectation is, hey, we want to be a Stanley Cup team, okay, you got to build one,
Right.
and they did a very poor job of that. So on the back end, they've got to get that fixed. But we'll move to the Eastern Conference now. I want to go to Philly and Pittsburgh, and Dan Vladar is just a dog. I mean,
He is. He played hard
he
all
really is.
series.
I mean, he was a huge piece for that team, and I thought he looked outstanding during that series. I mean, you watch the games, you watch how it all plays out, and this guy was a huge piece for their success. I mean, I feel like we didn't really talk about it much, but with him, I mean, he is the big piece needed for this team if they want to be successful. But he took over, and on Pittsburgh side of things, the power play really was just. I mean, let's be quite honest, was kind of dead the first few games. I thought the Philadelphia penalty kill was fantastic. I thought they did their job for the first couple of games, and Pittsburgh's making it look interesting with the last two. And Philadelphia being a young team, I definitely had some thoughts of could they sell this,
Could they come back? Yeah.
but they didn't. They stood strong. Rick Tocchet and this group, they held their own and they were able to finish. But you love to see that, with Martone and Owen Tippett and this group that they've got there, man. They're a good little group, and they're playing Carolina as we speak at this moment in this next series, and they're gonna have you know a little jump.
It's gonna be a good test.
Yeah, for seeing how this went. But for Pittsburgh side of things, I just think the special teams earlier in the games, first two didn't work, and then they let some games get away. You move away from Stuart Skinner and go for Shilovs, and I thought he played well. And you hate losing one nothing in overtime, but it was a
Right.
well fought game. But Dan Vladar was a huge piece of their success, man. So congrats to the Flyers for what they were able to do.
Yep.
What did you think?
But this was probably the series I watched the least out of all of them, surprisingly. But I was shocked when they were up 3-0, and then I was kind of watching some like recap games. I was like, oh man, they're playing hard. They won it, and then I was kind of looked as if Pittsburgh they just looked flat, and it was rough. And then they won those next two games, and I was like, yeah, I don't know, but Philly ended up winning, so it was.
Yeah, I mean, I do look at Dan. I mean, again, I really speak highly of Dan Vladar. I mean, he had two shutouts this series. I mean, he really
Hmm.
did his part, and I thought he played outstanding. But this group, very young group as well, but they played very aggressive. They played physical, and that's all you can really ask for
That's right.
from them. Move on to a series I know you really don't want to talk about. Actually, we'll save it for last. Let's
All
go to
right,
Buffalo and Boston. Buffalo, man, absolutely amazed to see them get the job done.
they did.
I
Hmm.
mean, you know, that whole group, a young group that plays with a lot of physicality and just a young team that knows the keys to success. I mean, they just know how to do it. You know, game one was a huge difference maker. Alex Lyon, dog, but you look at game one, a big momentum change. Boston up 2-0, and really it kind of could be a series setter. And then they make the comeback, and Tage Thompson, big part of that. And they're able to walk away game one with a comeback 4-3 win. And after that, man, just dominated. Pucks to net, good defense, good goaltending. I mean, this team is dangerous.
They are.
They are filthy. Um, I just love what they have on the table and what they bring. I mean, you've got Alex Tuck, Tage Thompson, and
Oh,
Rasmus
play.
Dahlin, and just
Mm.
this whole list running down. I mean, I look at this series and I'm looking at this Buffalo team and like, dude, I think they could honestly, this is crazy. I mean, I don't even think it's crazy at this point. They can win the cup. They can legitimately win the cup this year if they continue to play the way they are. Boston, again, it was really hard to have high expectations on their end, but man, they ran to a dominant team in this playoff series, and they had to go take on Buffalo, and Buffalo just handled business.
Yeah, I think Boston did. They did play hard. They just ran into the wrong team.
I mean, and the expectations, you just to me, it's so hard to set a high bar of hey, we want to be a cup team when your team's built, you're a mid team, and not saying Boston was mid, but Buffalo was clearly the better team, and it's just hard to set that expectation. But Boston, I thought they gave it a good fight, so good on their end, and really
Yeah.
happy for them. But now we will go to your team in probably the best series of the playoffs, Montreal and Tampa.
Easily, yeah.
Every game was a 1 goal deficit, and
I
it
can't
was
remember the last time that's happened.
and you just gotta love how the series went. And
Hmm.
the craziest part was the ending to Game 7. Montreal wins it 2-1 with 9 shots on goal. That is diabolical. I mean, there's nothing else to say. And then you got Jacob Dobish just being a dog.
Played lights out all series.
Dobish was a absolute humongous piece of their success, and he was an absolute beast. And we had 4 overtime games in the series, and I felt bad watching Kucherov. Man, I mean that dude could not buy a shot. Or could not buy a goal. I mean, opportunity after opportunity. I just feel like he could not buy the back of the net. But this young team, man, with Cole Caulfield and Slavkovsky, and I mean this whole group, Nick Suzuki. I mean, they are a really good team, and you know, watching the series, experience being a big part to me. I was like, hey, we're going to Game 7. Could experience kind of throw this team off? Like, what could happen? But man, they play like a veteran group. I mean, they just kept going. They played gritty hockey, and they just took control. And I mean, they they exceeded a rookie team, if you will. Like, this is a young group that played like they have been to the cup plenty of times. But you have to feel for Tampa and John Cooper even as a coach. He loses the gold medal game, and he lost Game 7. And funny enough, I saw something pop up. He outshot his opponent 71-37 between those two games,
Yeah.
and still lost. But you just have to give it to Jacob Dobish and what he was able to do. I mean, you keep getting pucks in net, good things happen, but sometimes you just meet the wrong goalie.
Yep.
And Dobish was a big part of their success. But I'll hand it over to you and let you give your thoughts.
Well, as a Tampa fan, that series is going to give me nightmares, and it was tough, and it was an awesome series to watch. Either way, I mean, like you can't have a closer series than that, honestly. And I feel like for both teams, some of like the big stars like Caulfield, even Slavkovsky, Suzuki, Kucherov, Point, didn't I don't feel like they contributed as much as each team respectively would have liked.
I will say, though, like Sikorsky, he had a great game 1, and then
Big
after that,
one.
he just
Yeah,
died
that
down.
was it. Yep. Then I think Kucherov and Point were out fishing the rest of the series. I don't even think they knew they were there. It was tough, and you got to give props to Dobish and Vasilevsky. Both of them played hard, and At the end of the day, I feel like the Habs wanted it a little bit more than Tampa did.
Yeah, I mean, but still a well fought series, and it's very devastating on that part to see it end that way. But hey, man, it's just how it goes at times.
That's right.
But that is a round one recap. We'll run through round two real fast, just kind of break it down. Our brackets are obviously there. Some of them not good by now, but we'll just run through them, kind of just talk about them. We'll go to the East. Carolina and Philadelphia. This could be a very interesting series again. I feel like it's kind of the same situation earlier. There is talent on the front end, but I think Dan Vladar is going to have to take over for Philadelphia, kind of again. Like Linus Olmark was going to have to do, and his Carolina team, man, Logan Stankoven has been a big part for them, and for them, this could be another chance to move to the Eastern Conference Finals, and put them in a good spot.
I like Carolina. I guess. See, I had Pittsburgh moving on, and now Philly. I doubted them in the first round, so I think this series is gonna be very close. I think I'm gonna say Carolina in 7.
Yeah, I think I had Carolina playing Pitt. I think I had Carolina in 6 or whatnot. But I will say, looking at Philadelphia again, it's going to be really interesting to see. I think again, Carolina is obviously the better team, but Dan Vladar could also, he's going to have a takeover, and we're going to need to see Martone and Tippett and Courtier and all this whole group step up Philadelphia and put some pucks in the back of the net. So this could also just be a very interesting series if you know Philadelphia allows it to be. But we'll move on. Carolina and Buffalo, or not Carolina, excuse me, Montreal and Buffalo. That series is going to be interesting as well. I mean, you look at both of these teams, Dobish and Lyon going against each other. I think that's going to be a great fight. And two young teams. I'm expecting to see a lot of speed on the ice. I'm expecting to see a very fast-paced game. I mean, that series will be very interesting. I think Dobish and Lyon, like I said, they're going to have a battle in the net, and I think these are going to be two young teams going after it. So I'm very pumped to see how this all plays out for sure.
I like that. Yes, two teams got a lot to play for. Obviously, I think it'll be a good series.
I like it on that end. Now we'll move on. We'll move on to let me find my other team here because I'm throwing it off right now. Oh my word. Sorry, man. I'm pulling stuff up here and I'm doing a very poor job at what I was supposed to be doing. Holy tabs. Hey, well, this would be a good time to say go follow us on our socials at Across the Board on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. To go check out all the new videos we post every week. Find you some good stuff on there and consider giving us a follow. Let's see here. Trying to get where I'm going next, man, because I'm like way thrown off right now. Technical difficulty right now. All right, let's head out west now. Colorado and Minnesota, another series I think that's going to be really quite interesting. Two teams with really a lot of explosive playing. And, that series, I'm going to say it, could go to 7.
I think it will.
I mean, you look at both of them. I mean, you're obviously in the Central Division. I mean, really a dynamite, like kryptonite, a lot of teams. I mean, you look at the lineup, the roster stackage, Matt Boldy, Kirill the Thrill, Wallstead, Faber. I mean, you look on that in Minnesota, they've got a bunch of talent. You got Brock Nelson, McCarr, McKinnon, and Wedgwood. and Blackwood and just all really just talent filled on both ends of these teams. But, for me, I'm going to look at the goaltending. It's going to need to be good on both ends, but we get to see some elite skill players on the ice, and I'm very pumped to see that in this next game, in the next series there between those two. Now, let's go on to our final series, Vegas and Anaheim. I looked at Vegas, and to me, it's going to feel like the exact matchup we had last round.
Uh-huh.
Another young team that's going to have a lot of speed, and Vegas is going to have to keep Anaheim out the middle of the ice. That's going to be their biggest thing in this game. Push them outside, make them take outside shots. Do not give them the center of the ice, and that's going to be a huge key to them and to be successful. And then Carter Hart, he's going to need to be stellar for this team as well. So that's it for me on these second round matchups. Anything you want to add?
I do. I agree with you on Vegas. I like Vegas over Anaheim. You know, Anaheim. I think yeah, obviously they're a young team, and kind of like Utah. I think Vegas will handle them well.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's going to be an interesting series because can Vegas keep my center of the ice? Will they, will it kind of go like the last series where Anaheim jumps out fast? We really don't
Mhm.
know. So we'll see how that all pans out. But that is it for today's episode. We just recapped round one Stanley Cup playoffs. I will be doing live updates on round two as series conclude. So go check those out on our TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. So go follow us there. Like and subscribe. Comment. Do as you want. And we hope to see you all on the next episode.